Yes, I'm doing 3 of these in a row. It's my channel, deal with it. Welcome back to this really stupid series where I time how long it took cartoon characters to touch grass. Today I'll be taking another look at Steven Universe. As always, let's go over the rules. The timer begins as soon as the character appears on screen. The timer ends when we can confirm that the character is touching grass. If a character is shown to have been touching grass in a previous shot, the previous shot is where the timer ends. We can use observations of the environment from different angles to determine if a character was touching grass or not if it is not made clear directly. The timer will pause if the character leaves the current scene, the scene shifts focus off the character, or the show cuts to a new scene where the character is not present. And the timer won't resume until the character is seen on screen again. Even if a scene isn't focusing on a character, the timer will still run if they can be visually seen within the shot. Any part of a character's body touching grass counts, including touching grass through their clothes like their shoes. In-universe video footage of a character counts towards their time, however photos do not. Events that got erased from the timeline do not add to the timer. Opening theme songs or fantasy sequences do not add to the timer. Now, a year ago today, I already covered Steven Universe in this series. In that video, I timed the grass touching of Steven, Garnet, Amethyst, Pearl, Connie, Greg, Stevonnie, Rose, my husband, Sadie, Lapis, Peridot, Jasper, Ruby, Sapphire, Bismuth, Yellow Diamond, Blue Diamond, White Diamond, and Spinel, with the final results looking like this. In today's video, I'll be timing more of the human characters. But first, I have to amend something from that first video. You may have noticed that Greg's time was different in the list I just showed you compared to what it was in that original video. That's because I made a mistake. Not that I somehow missed him touching grass in Steven and the Stevens, but because that episode shouldn't even count towards his time due to the events of that episode never actually happening. So I took his time from just that episode, subtracted it from the time I originally gave him, and I can now say that Gregory Universe actually touched grass in 23 minutes and 57 seconds. But on to today's grass touching contestants with Lion, Andy, Priyanka, Doug, Mayadui, Buck, Jenny, Kiki, Kofi, Nanafua, Vidalia, Yellowtail, Sour Cream, Onion, Petey, Ronaldo, Mr. Fryman, Mr. Smiley, Barbara, Jamie, and Martha and Dante. Let's touch grass. Despite being a wild animal who thrives outdoors, it still takes Lion a little bit to touch grass. Nothing throughout the entirety of Steven's Lion, but shortly into so many birthdays, he's touching it. It's not clear at first, but this later shot confirms his time being just 6 minutes and 35 seconds. Andy is first seen right at the barn doors, with grass separating him from the plane he arrived in. But we can't definitively prove he didn't jump across this bike in pipes, so the timer is on. The timer pauses as we focus on the rest of the gang arriving, and then Lapis drops him on grass after 1 minute and 9 seconds. Just a tiny little bit under 1 minute and 10 seconds. After Connie greatly disappointed me in the first video, I was hoping that her parents would at least do better. And Priyanka does do better than Connie, but she still doesn't do very well. She doesn't get any time for all those future visions Garnet gave Steven in Winter Forecast, and is only time for the events that actually happened that episode. But then Nightmare Hospital sent her time way up. Eventually we reach Storm in the room, and while we don't see her touch grass...
Night, Steven. Night, Connie.
So he's back from the spa, huh?
No, I said space.
We clearly hear 2 sets of footsteps belonging to her and Connie walking on grass that we know is there, giving Priyanka Maheshwaran a final grass touching time of 12 minutes and 42 seconds. This family just sucks at touching grass, huh? Doug Maheshwaran never touches grass. Despite being a big loser, Bill Dewey didn't take very long to touch grass, mainly due to his limited screen time. He goes through Cat Fingers, Lars and the Cool Kids, Joking Victim, Mirror Gem, and Ocean Gem with no grass touching to be found. It takes him until Shirt Club to be seen at the old warehouse, standing on grass. But that limited screen time cuts his grass touching time to just 2 minutes, 51 seconds, and 16 frames, just below Pearl's time of 2 minutes, 51 seconds, and 19 frames, or rather 0.6 and 0.7 seconds respectively. It's a shame his way cooler son didn't do as well. He briefly appears during Frybo, but makes his proper debut in Lars and the Cool Kids. But unlike his father, he's actually a pretty prominent character this episode, so by the time he, Jenny, Sour Cream, Steven, and Maipuki arrive at the lake and he jumps out of the car onto grass, his time is already up and now locked in at 3 minutes and 9 seconds. Jenny has a pretty similar story to Buck, however her cameo in Frybo is much shorter, so by the time she gets out of the car and gets onto the grass, her time is only at 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Being cooped up in the restaurant all the time, Kiki got a much worse grass touching time than her twin. As the episodes go on, her time keeps going up and there's no grass touching to be found. And then we reach the return. Get ready for this episode to come up a bunch. Cause after Steven goes flying out of his dad's van, it seems like the entire city gets out of their cars and stands on grass. One of them being Kiki, giving her a time of 9 minutes and 34 seconds. While Kofi did get a little more time added to him in Beach Party compared to his daughter, due to him playing a more prominent role in that episode, outside of that he only really appears in crowd scenes, which lowers his time a little under her. And just like Kiki, he touches grass in the return, and he scored a time of 8 minutes and 50 seconds. Originally, I thought Nanafa would get a higher time than her son, due to her being even more prominent in the climax of Beach Party, but I guess her absence during the volleyball segment cancelled that out, so by the time she touches grass in, once again, the return, she ends up with a slightly lower grass touching time of 8 minutes and 44 seconds. Vidalia doesn't appear much, but when she does, she's there for a while. She comes extremely close to touching grass in Greg the Babysitter, but throughout all 5 seasons of the original show, she never touches grass. She doesn't touch any during the movie either, but thankfully, in Little Homeschool, she is seen finally standing on grass, with an ending time of 12 minutes and 7 seconds. Yellowtail, however, is the complete opposite of his wife. Most of his time comes from Onion Friend. His appearance in Steven and the Stevens doesn't count because of all that time travel shit, but after a very brief appearance in Mirror Gem and Ocean Gem, he of course touches grass in the return after just 22 seconds. Unlike Buck and Jenny, Sour Cream did not touch grass as soon as he got out of the car, and unlike the Cutie Patootie, he didn't touch any nearby grass for a while. By the end of the episode, his moss-covered body is touching grass, but that can't count until the moss goes away. And once we see it gone from Steven and Lars, we know it must be gone from the others too, so Sour Cream took 6 minutes and 10 seconds to touch grass. Onion is weird. He starts off pretty normal, no grass touching to be found in his early appearances, but then I realized something when timing him. We never actually see him get deleted from Rose's room. Everyone else disappears except for him, which seems to imply that this is the real Onion. And yeah, I can fully believe that Onion could have gotten in there somehow. So this episode counts to his time. After a few more appearances, you guessed it, he touches grass in the return, with a final time of 9 minutes and 25 seconds. PD debuts in the episode Frybo, an episode centered all around him. So at first, it seems he's in for a rough ride, but by the end of the episode, he is suddenly standing on grass. Is this an animation mistake? Probably, but he's still touching grass, so he gets a time of 6 minutes and 46 seconds. Ronaldo greatly exceeded my expectations by getting a really solid grass touching time and the fastest in his family. After a bunch of cameos, his first major appearance was the episode Keep Beach City Weird, where very early into the episode, he and Steven are walking on grass, giving him a grass touching time of 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Mr. No First Name Fryman took longer than I was expecting. I knew Frybo would add a lot to his time, but he has a whole bunch of little appearances throughout season 1, and they all build up to the finale, where of course once again the return shows him on grass after 8 minutes and 24 seconds. And with that, the return officially dethrones the Amazing Digital Circus' Untitled and Gravity Falls' Tourist Trapped as the episode with the most characters touching grass for the first time. And there's still more characters to add to that record. Harold begins with a few minor appearances, his major roadblock being Tiger Millionaire. This would easily be the episode that added the most to his time. And following that, he would get a few more of those small appearances, and come on, take a guess. When do you think he first touches grass? What episode do you think it was? What scene do you think it was? It was The Return, obviously. He touched grass in The Return after 10 minutes and 8 seconds. And finally, The Return gives us one more great moment. The introduction of Barbara, showing us her for the first time, and she's already touching grass immediately. Jamie is not only delivering the mail, but delivering great grass touching. Besides his small appearance in Cheeseburger Backpack, he only has a few cameos in Season 1. But in Season 2's Love Letters, he walks right onto some grass in 1 minute and 31 seconds. I originally wasn't going to include my mother and father-in-law, since I knew they never touched grass in the series. But as we all know, we've got Lars of the Stars on the horizon, and since Martha and Dante are almost certain to appear in that, they'll join Kane and Bubble in the to-be-decided position. Another day, another successful grass-touching tournament. There's 3 leaderboards to show off today. Of course we have this one showing off today's contestants, but then we have the full Steven Universe grass-touching leaderboard, combining all characters from both videos together. And of course, we have the big one, with all the characters that have been talked about in this series. I promise I still make normal videos. I've probably finished my Amphibia rewatch by the time this video goes up, so my re-review of that show will be coming soon. As for the next grass touching video, it's probably gonna be on Red vs Blue, because I'm in a Red vs Blue hyperfixation at the moment, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. But anyways, my name's Dr. Lamington, like and subscribe to make me smile, and I'll see you later.